Bill Clinton's on a roll recently, you may have noticed. In a recent interview with PBS, Clinton pointed out that it's a lot harder to sexually harass people these days than it used to be back then. And of course, he would know. Watch.
I think the norms have really changed in terms of what you can do to somebody against their will, how much you can crowd their space, make them miserable at work.
Tammy Bruce is a New York radio show host, and she joins us. You know, Tammy, the norms have really changed about what you can do to someone against his will.
Yes.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah,
it's very
it sounds
different
like,
now. You used to be able to do a lot of things against people's will. Who's that?
Hillary may be sharing the Chardonnay with her husband. I'm not quite sure.
So
this is what most people have of course, remarked on, is that for Bill Clinton, it was normal to do things to people against their will. But this is a newsflash from Mr. Clinton. Unless you were back in maybe the Bronze Age, maybe not even then, in modern life here in America, the American Revolution kind of made it that everybody had some rights, and then we became a better country. And the good news is, in the recent modern era, we've learned that you can't do anything to people against their will. It's the concept, of course, of law and order. So we've managed to achieve that, and it was applied when he was president. Apparently he wasn't aware of that. But it tells you, and I think this is what's revealing about Bill Clinton, it's what's termed as the compulsion to confess, is that in his time, that you could do whatever you wanted. But the fact is, they knew then that they really couldn't. The difference was that they got away with it, and they protected each other. And I think for both he and his wife, they want that era back. They want the times back, the good old days, when in fact they could do whatever they wanted. And I think it's probably was much more comfortable and controlled for a very few at the top. It's very nerve-wracking for individuals who cultivated that era to have this populism arise, where the American people, women and people of color and gays, everybody who's been a minority in power or in life, actually, because of new media and because of the populism now that's moving, is that we want the Constitution to be clear. We want rights. We want to be safe in our lives. We still want that conservative ideal. A lot of people don't realize it's a conservative ideal, to live lives that best suit us without being attacked, and without needing to deal with people like Harvey Weinstein and Bill Clinton.
I think that's exactly right. And it has been at least the Bronze Age since people were allowed to do whatever they wanted against someone else's will.
That's, the pulling by someone's hair is kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's not a modern thing.
No.
So you may have seen the rant at the Tony Awards by actor Robert De Niro, who followed up by apologizing to Canada for the American president. Here's part of what he said.
And I just want to make a note of apology for the idiotic behavior of my president. It's a disgrace. And I apologize to Justin Trudeau, and the other people at the G7. It's disgusting.
When you find yourself apologizing to the Canadians, it is by definition a new low. Then the president tweeted this in response, and I'm quoting, "Robert De Niro, a very low IQ individual, has received many shots to the head by real boxers in movies. I watched him last night and truly believe he may be punch drunk. I guess he doesn't realize the economy is the best it's ever been, with employment being at an all-time high and many companies pouring back into our country. Wake up, Punchy!" Exclamation point. Tammy?
He snuck that in between North Korea tweets, right? The world is changing. He's bringing world peace. And he managed to get that in there about Uncle Punchy. Look, Robert De Niro's next movie is War with Grandpa. And I think that you've gone from really raging bull to whining grandpa at this point. It's a shame. Fabulous actor, an American icon that has really declined. And really, it seems that, a lot of people, I think there's jealousy that is rooted in the attacks on the president. There you got with the thing he's doing there with his arms. This is a man who seems to not be secure within his own manhood, and that the president's success is upsetting him. And it is, I think, a lot of people. But for the American people in general, we appreciate the success, securing the future of this country, saving lives. He said about North Korea today, if he can save 30 million people, of course he'd stand on a stage with this guy. It's ironic. They accuse the president of being indecent. when they every day show their own indecency. And the American people see this for what it is, I think.
Everything is irony, for sure. Tammy, great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, a follow-up to what is a pretty amazing story out of the FAA. The FAA, we told you last week, has created a new test for selecting air traffic controllers that gives points for relevant criteria. Well, it turns out the FAA has also been cavalier about cheating on that test. Our investigation of the government's dangerous hiring practices continues after the break.